meeting to order for January 24th. And I'll ask everyone to, if you're not speaking, to mute your device. Makes it easier to cut out the background noise. So declarations of conflict of interest, do I see any?
Yes, this project being presented, I worked on the design of, so I must recuse myself.
Okay, yes.
But Robert Haggis from the firm is here to present.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Greg.
So I'll take on.
Any other declarations? Good, okay. Approval of the agenda.
I'll move to approve it.
Okay, moved and seconded by Julie. Okay, thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Good. Thank you, everybody. Adoption of the minutes for November 29th. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that as well.
I'll move.
Okay, and
I'll second.
I'll second by Greg. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good. Okay, thank you. Business arising from those minutes. Anybody got anything? Pretty straightforward, I think.
Yep.
Okay, if not, we'll move into report. So Greg, you're gonna head out. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Greg.
have a great day.
Yeah, so,
Bye.
Sorry?
Bye, Greg.
Okay, bye-bye. 22 Lower Malpeque Road, pin 388322 and 388330. Laurel, you got the floor.
All right, so this is the perspective, but it's this is a request for design review for 74-unit apartment building containing 33 affordable dwelling units and 41 market units on the property located at 20 Lower Malpeque Road. As per section 3.141 of the bylaw, the design review process shall apply to any affordable housing developments inside or outside the 500 lot area. And affordable housing is defined in the zoning and development bylaw as any type of housing where the provincial government provides some form of subsidy or rent assistance, including public and non-profit cooperative housing or rent supplements for people living in either private or market housing. If approved, the agreement will have to be entered into with the owner and PEI Housing Corporation for the affordable housing component of the project. So this property is currently occupied by what was known formerly as the Queen's Arms Motel. And the Queen's Arms Motel is right here. The motel in recent years has been converted to long-term rental units. And behind the existing building is a large area of vacant land that borders on McNeil's Pond. Right here is McNeil's Pond, and this area back here is vacant. Development, the property consists, there's 3 separate properties, and the existing motel is actually situated over shared property boundaries, so the back part of the hotel is actually over a property boundary. So development on these properties will require consolidation of multiple lots, and the apartment building is proposed to be located right here behind the existing building. And it doesn't have street frontage, so consolidation of these properties is required so that the whole property meets the requirements of the bylaw and has street frontage. And multiple buildings are permitted on a lot in this zone. So once design review approves it, it'll have to proceed to planning board for consolidation of the properties, and a height variance is also required for the project if approved. And just show you this, the building overall is 70 feet on one side and then 59, so that will, the average heights will be taken, and then that will proceed to planning board for a variance once we know the outcome of this meeting. So the plans, they were submitted for design review. It included attachment A, which is in your package, and that was sent to the external design reviewer, Robert Matthews, on January 5th. And Mr. Matthews provided his comments on the 11th of January. Overall, building design, Mr. Matthews indicated that the design is generally refreshing and contemporary, and that he was intrigued with the modular panel approach. He suggested improvements such as projecting the landings for the stairs into the space behind the lattice. Just bump up here. So this lattice here, he suggested bumping the building out into that, and Robert Haggis will talk to that about that point a little bit later. But he indicated that that would provide some visual relief to the 6-foot width of the lattice that runs vertically at each end of the building, here and here. This it would result in the lattice sitting flush against the building and space instead of having a void between the lattice and the building. So currently you'll see that there is a void between the building and the lattice. So he talked about that point, but there is some. On Friday I spoke with Robert Haggis, and there is a reason why that void was left there. So he can explain that a little bit later. Mr. Matthews' idea of jogging the building, he thought that it would extend the landings and it would add additional space to the stair landing and corridor and provide additional lighting in the corridor. So that's why he recommended that. He also indicated the windows shown on the floor plans at the entrance vestibule were not shown on the building elevation. I'm just going to flip down to the right here. These two windows here, they were actually shown, or they should be here. They were shown on the floor plans, but they're actually not shown on the elevation. So he recommended that they should be put in to improve the vestibule. He noted that they are important to define the entrance to the building. He suggested that the building facade would be more interesting if differing window sizes were used to define the living space behind the window. So currently, all the windows are the same configuration and size. He's recommending that in areas where the living and dining area are, that the windows be larger in those livable spaces. So site design, the building fronts the McNeil's Pond. There's a green space buffer that stretches between the building and the pond, right along here. Mr. Matthews suggested that there's very little amenity space designated on site, and he recommended that there should be a walkout patio at ground level with landscaping on the pond side on south elevation, right here. And that would allow residents to enjoy this natural space. Also suggest it was a walkway from the building to allow residents to access the patio at the back. So he's suggesting that there be a walkway either from here or at this end or here to allow people to access the patio that he's recommending. So one thing that I want to note, Mr. Matthews did indicate in the report that there was no amenity space, but staff would like to clarify that there is amenity space included. You'll see this balcony that sticks out. So that's on the second level, and there's actually a common room off of that on the first and second level. There's two common rooms and balconies for people to go out from the building. And you can't access the ground from these balconies, but you can go out and sit in the balconies and enjoy the view of the pond. So those spaces do account for amenity area under our bylaw. But staff does support his recommendation for a patio at ground level as well. We feel that that is important so people can just walk out and they have access to the pond. The other thing that was brought up, the site plan shows garbage receptacles right here, and they're located at the southwest corner of the building. And that's beside the only ground floor exit and entrance, which is right here on the building. The design reviewer suggests that the floor plan be mirrored and the exit entrance be moved to the opposite end of the building, so right here, away from the garbage receptacles. If that is impossible, he suggested that the owners revisit the proposed location for the garbage corral and probably locate it in another area on site that's less visible. His concerns were that the location of the garbage next to the door and ground floor amenity space wouldn't be pleasant for residents with smells coming from garbage and stuff in the summertime. So there is very little detail about the grade elevations at this end of the building, but it appears that the exit from the building will be at a different elevation than the garbage receptacle. So up here is actually higher than down here, so a retaining wall may be required, and stairs if people are going to come down here to exit the garbage or to access the garbage receptacles. You would probably need a retaining wall around this feature. There was also not a lot of detail provided pertaining to the hard and soft landscaping on the site plan. The design reviewer indicated in his report that a paved walkway should be constructed between the main building entrance and Lower Malpeque Road, so here and all the way down to Lower Malpeque Road, just to provide safe access for pedestrians that are maybe walking to the shopping center that's located across the street and back to their building. So another thing was a designated drop-off and pickup area should also be designated at the front of the building, right here. And that should be outside of the fire lane so that cars can pull up in taxis and drop people off and pick them up. The addition of landscaping around the building and along walkways was also encouraged in the design review report. And staff does concur with those recommendations. So we are recommending approval of the project subject to the 9 items that were outlined in your report for consideration. And if this does get approval, then the developer would be required to enter into a development agreement. So Robert Haggis is here, and I'm going to let him explain some more about the project. I did recommend for the lattice in the conclusion, but there may be some more information that he can bring forward here that we may have to forgo that one recommendation. So anyway, Robert, if you want to speak now.
Sure. And Laurel, versus you thumbing back and forth from page to page, would it make sense to give me control so I can share my screen?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same. Yeah, I can, if I just, I'll say share. Can everybody see my screen here?
Yep.
Okay, so, again, thanks for meeting with me. Greg did work on this with myself and David from the office. He did a great job, I think, with it. The biggest challenge with the project was trying to keep the overall cost down as much as possible to accommodate for those affordable units from the client's perspective. So we do have a rectangular building. It's going to be a steel structure. And as Laurel mentioned, panelized is the approach, again, for energy efficiency, but also cost efficiency. So this will be constructed quite quickly in structural steel and panels. Just I'm going to touch on a few different things. You know, Robert Matthews, the reviewer's comments were taken quite well. The client wasn't adverse to any of them, just perhaps one, which I'll bring up later. All quite minor and will ultimately just make the project that much better. I'll first speak to the lattice work. So the reason for this lattice work is to actually provide a bit of protection from the mechanical units. One of the approaches we're taking, because this has to be an energy efficient building, a sustainable building, for an ability for the client to get CMHC financing and also grants for those 33 units that are affordable. So we're going with a VRF system. And behind this lattice work at intermittent landings with the staircase will be access doors for those VRF units. They're outdoor condenser units. They have a fair bit of size. So the lattice work is actually meant to block those from view. So they were very intentional and a bit of a crafty way to take advantage of the staircases so they can be used for maintenance of those VRF systems. So that's the reason for the lattice work here and here. And at night, if you can imagine just a short landing that protrudes in between each and every level, we were thinking of maybe some uplighting, so you'll get this kind of, these will be like light wells, if you will, through the lattice work. Again, just to provide some visual interest to an otherwise, very simple form. The same with the fenestration. We're kind of playing with different colored panels and a gradient from high to low to kind of break the overall form down and make it a little more interesting to look at. So that's the reason for the lattice work. This, of course, is to provide some privacy and a bit of a windbreak at the main entrance. In terms of materiality, we're looking at 3 different types of metal and then a faux wood. So what you see in brown or orange brown would be a wood-like composite material.
Robert,
Yes,
can I interrupt for a second? Do you have control of the screen? Because
I do.
I'm not. Okay.
Does everybody?
I must have seen-
Can everybody see me moving stuff?
No, I can't see anything either.
Oh, my apologies.
No,
Someone's
I
trying-
can't. Just a sec. I'm just going
Hold
to
on.
end slideshow.
You're sharing. Can you see now?
Yeah.
Oh man, I'll have to do that again then. Sorry, everyone. So everybody can see now.
Okay, let me see.
Can everybody see my screen or no?
Yes, I can see.
Okay.
Yes.
Laura, can you see it?
Yep.
No, that's weird. I can't.
Yeah. No, it says I'm sharing.
Yeah. Got a
So
perspective.
no, people aren't seeing my screen, are they?
No, what I'm moving the perspective around here. Everybody can see
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
So
For
Laura,
some
everybody
reason,
can
I'm
see you.
getting.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just a sec now.
Laura, it's probably just your program. You have to.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I'm not. But just carry on. I just thought maybe
Okay.
everybody else was
Okay.
seeing it.
So, but if you could just take in what I just explained again, I was just talking about this lattice work here, and that is where our exit stairs are, and there'll be an intermediate landing in between the windows. There'll actually be doors for servicing to have a home for those VRF systems. It's an energy efficient heat pump system, commercialized system, and the lattice work helps to kind of protect those from view, so you're not staring at those mechanical units. So that was the purpose of the lattice. Although it looks like an empty void, it's actually housing mechanical systems. And the lattice work at the entrance is just to help provide some privacy, but also a bit of a wind block. And as I mentioned, in terms of the fenestration, this kind of different gradient of metal paneling. Everything in that orangey color would be a faux wood panel, and all of which just again trying to provide some visual interest and break down what is otherwise very simple rectangular building. The main purpose is to bring the cost down so they can afford to provide those additional 33 affordable units within the development. So that's kind of just a broad stroke of the exterior and the game plan with it. Some of these images are just give you a general understanding of what you might see from afar. I guess if you were in a helicopter over the pond with this one. Lower Malpac Road looking back. So, that the next discussion beyond this, if approved, is going after that height variance. Right now it's 49 feet. We have to push to about 65 feet to make this happen. So I'm going to go back to some of the site items that were brought up. Again, there's no, I've already discussed these with the client. There's no apprehension with them. They all, seem to make sense and ultimately make the project a little nicer. So one being, providing a sidewalk from Malpac Road. It makes sense probably to hug the driveway on this side to the main entrance. That's perfectly fine. Another one was the garbage corral that Laurel had mentioned. So presently located here, and yes, the grades drop off pretty significantly along this conifer plant, but right from the front side down towards the water. So it actually probably makes sense and works even better for us to take that garbage corral and move it to the north. See this red box here? So we're going to take that, move it to the north, and providing access to that will be through one of these stairwells. Because as Laurel mentioned, the parking lot area, this is basically a story above the walkout area. So we get it away from the units, we get it away from the entrance approach, and push it to that north side. Here. So presently we have 69 parking stalls. We actually have additional 3. So we may actually lose a couple of these stalls to accommodate for that garbage corral, but that will still allow it to meet with the zoning requirements in terms of parking. Another comment from Robert was, providing, a nice landscape plan on the front side of the building. That will happen. Presently, McDougall Steel has it represented as these kind of little, tree hatches, but this would be part of that development agreement. That a detailed landscape plan would be provided. Again, the client is fully on board with that. Another comment was minimizing the effect on that conifer tree stand. So if you can see this line here is heavily vegetated with coniferous trees. We do plan on thinning it out to a certain degree. I've just kind of sketched here to allow for views to that pond. But we'll try to retain as much as we can. Some, of course, will need to come down to accommodate the construction as well. Again, at any point, if anybody has any questions or comments, please, by all means, cut me off. Another item that was mentioned was this kind of public amenity spaces. So we do on the first floor, as you enter in, there's a large lounge with a deck that Laurel mentioned. So that's at your parking lot level. It's elevated off the ground. You'll have views of the pond and the green space at the back. There's also on the second floor another lounge. So there's a lounge presently on the first floor, entry level, and on the second floor. However, I think it makes sense to accommodate for that kind of public amenity on the back side, the walkout side, that we eliminate that we do a swap, if you will, of the lounge on the second floor. I'm going to go to the basement now. This is the basement level plan. We have 2 bachelor units, small bachelor units. We're going to swap those with that second floor lobby or lounge space. And we're going to put the lounge space on the basement level. That way people come down the elevator into the lounge and have direct access with double French doors perhaps to a large patio. That patio will be directly below the elevated deck in second lounge space. This of course gives them direct access to the walkout level. So that would be here. So all we're doing is we have a lounge, a 2-tier lounge and deck space. We're going to take that lounge from the second floor and bring it down to the basement so everybody has immediate access to the walkout. What else here? It's there. So in reality, in looking at this and understanding the grades, this door will be removed. That's that south-facing door. This was what provided access to the garbage. But the grades are quite steep, and to help accommodate, as Laurel said, there might have to be quite a bit of retaining here. Removing that door will give us more opportunity to adjust these grades to ramp this road up. But again, in terms of garbage, people will use this stair most likely, and or the elevator to the outside into a garbage corral that's further away from the building to the north. So we take it out of view, take it away from the units. It gives us some more space to work up the grades. And it's not really a code issue because we have our exit stairs at both ends, and this would provide additional space for storage for the tenants. Let's see, revisit entrance, classwork, resolve grades. I think those are really the high points. They were quite minor from my read. The design reviewers' comments were quite in favor of the overall design. Is there any questions you might have beyond what I've just put forward? Any concerns, thoughts?
Robert?
Sure. Robert, yeah.
Oh, so the windows.
Yes, Robert, it's Ken McGinnis speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah, and that was one other thing I didn't touch on. Sorry.
One of the design reviewer, he mentioned windows.
Yes.
And I was just wondering if you could speak about that a little bit, please.
Sure. Yeah. No, I apologize, Ken. I forgot to mention that.
That's okay. Thank you.
There's a hard push. That was the one item that the client was a little apprehensive about. So again, with the panelized construction, each and every one of these windows are exactly the same. Having the windows purchased the same size does help with the overall cost. In terms of structure, like we might be able to increase a couple of these windows as they relate to the living and dining room spaces by a foot, but that's as far as we can go from a structural perspective, and then the panels become kind of compromised. So we did try that. We suggested larger windows at the forefront. The client pushed back after running their numbers that it was going to really start to make things a little less affordable for them to make this project a reality. So they kind of pushed us back to make all the windows uniform in size. I mean, these are 4 feet wide. They are sizable. I mean, if you look at it in plan, just in proportion, I understand what the reviewer is asking for, and again, we suggested that long ago. But you know, in proportions, remember these units are quite small, right? But deliberately so. If you look at that here, like if that's a 10-foot wall, you know, 40% of that wall is already glazing. So, and at max, we might be able to add an additional foot, but that might affect the scale in terms of, you know, cost to benefit from the developer's perspective. So I understand it. If it's something that the committee feels strongly about, we can go that way. But at the moment, the client would really prefer to keep it as presently drawn for those reasons. Again, it's all cost driven.
Thank you.
Of course.
I feel it's pretty straightforward.
Thank you very much, Robert.
Sure.
Councilor McLeod speaking. So the access around back to the water, are we staying in with the environment as far as buffer codes? You know,
Yes.
my experience when the public have access directly right to the water. I have a park behind me, and it's a constant battle to keep garbage out of the water. I'm just wondering, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so in terms of, well, the environmental and the buffer, we had the DOT go back out and actually map that out. So the building is outside of that, of course. We wouldn't be able to build it.
Yes.
We did stop there because the Department of Environment will go out and stake it, and then it was picked up by the surveyor. So the present building location is outside that buffer. In terms of managing garbage, I mean, that's kind of a management thing. But if the corral is up here, it's further away, I guess, from the pond side. But yeah, all the garbage would come out, occupants down through here and up to the furthest most point. Makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. No, I think that's 100% better noise-wise too for the tenants, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
want the garbage truck coming in early hours of the morning, not close to the unit. But what I meant by when I say garbage is that anytime you give the public right away down to the water,
Oh, right.
you know, sometimes the easy way is to throw it in the drink instead of take it up to the garbage receptacles. So I just
Right.
wondered, any thought of, like, when you do make that pathway, you know, are we actually accessing the water? I guess that's my question.
No, so it is my read of Robert's comments, which again they make perfect sense, but was providing a sidewalk that allowed access from, you know, directly from our main entrance to Malpeque Road and the amenities, all the amenities that exist down the road. But there wasn't an intent of providing necessarily a public walkway to the backside of this private development. So any garbage that might, you know, come would be from the occupants itself, but there's not public access to it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Robert, folks?
No.
Okay, thank you very much, Robert, for your presentation. If you guys, anyone interested in making a motion?
I'll move it. Ken McGinnis.
Okay, Kenny moves it and seconded by, anybody want to second that? Chris? Okay, seconded by Chris. All those in favor of recommending to go to planning, please do it by saying yes, or put a hand up, one or the other. So we do Chris,
Yes.
Anna, and Ken. Who else? Julie around somewhere there?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, Brian's in favor. Sharon, you're okay? Good. Okay, that means we have a full house on board. Outside of that, guys, I guess we'll move. If anyone doesn't have any questions, we'll move to new business.
Yeah, if I may, I appreciate that. It sounds like you've approved it to move forward, but just for clarity and for Laurel's sake and the client's sake, are you in agreement that we proceed forward with all the changes that I've just put forward, with exception to changing that window size? Is that what I hear? You're in agreement with that?
I think so. I
Okay.
don't think anyone really spoke out. You know, Kenny brought up the point, and you explained it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with it. Like you said, it's 10-foot wall and 4 feet of it's a window. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think you've done a good job there. And unless anyone else has something to add, but I think clearance
what
is
about-
fair to leave.
Sorry, Laura?
What about the lattice? I just want to
It-
confirm on the
Yeah, no. So there's a deliberate reason for it, and to Robert Matthews' defense, he didn't realize that. So I think once he understands that that's actually a mechanical space, it's not just an empty void; it's occupied. So and we use it as a way to kind of break up that long facade. So
is everyone good on forgoing that comment on the lattice, bumping the building out and just leaving the lattice as it is?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think so.
Yes. Yeah.
okay. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, thanks, Laurel, by the way. And any other items for new business? If not, I'll need another motion.
I'll move.
I'll need to adjourn.
Oh,
Okay, moved and seconded. I don't, who moved and seconded again? It was Sharon
I'll second it.
and Kenny. Okay, all those in favor? Good. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your day.
Yeah.
thank you, everyone. Take care.
Care of your time.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye bye.
Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye.